This is a true story. I'm just getting into Reddit. I came across this sub and figured I would share my story. I dog sit for a family friend. They much prefer to have someone stay at the house with the dogs. I grew up in a town in the middle of nowhere, and I love the countryside, so for me this is like a station, because I live in the city now. Never really have any time to myself. So anyway, their house is literally in the middle of nowhere. When I say nowhere, I mean it takes 2 hours to get to and from my work, and it's about 45 minutes to the nearest town or interstate. There's only one neighbor within 5 miles, and he lives directly across the street. I'm used to this from where I'm from. It's supposed to give you the space you need, but also make you feel safer knowing you have at least one person nearby. However, this guy has done nothing but make me feel unsafe the whole time. So I get to Terry and Johnny's house, and they're telling me the whole drill, when to feed the dogs, water the plants, etc. Then as they're loading up their stuff to take into the car, Terry says, "Oh, don't forget to tell her about." Steve John says, "Oh yeah, don't worry about the neighbor across the street. He's harmless. The guy drinks a lot and is a little bit off. But totally harmless. Hell, the guy has lost his license so many times. All he can do is drive a moped to get to town." He chuckles and then stops smiling. However, just in case this is where we keep the gun, he then takes me to his gun, explains it's already loaded, and if I were to use it, I don't need to. It just pulled the trigger extra hard at this point. I'm like, whatever, you keep a gun in your house when it takes a police at least 45 minutes to get to your home. Still, I've got no worries. I'm used to drunk weirdos. I know how to handle them. I love this life in the middle of nowhere, and I've got 2 protective dogs that will attack on a 1-word command, so I'm feeling pretty safe. Terry and Johnny leave around 300p. I took the dogs for a walk and play some frisbee, and began unloading my stuff while they're still worn out from all the running. As I come back out to grab the second load of stuff, I hear their neighbor Steve slam his door and seemingly have a phone conversation. I just hear his voice faintly, and then he yells, "Where'd you go?" The dogs are probably hearing now and starting to growl softly. I tell them, "Calm down, boys. It's all right. It's just Steve. Remember, probably just want some privacy. Let's go inside." As I grab my stuff, I hear him yell again, and I do care about my kids, you. And then I hear him throw something onto the unpaved road behind me. It turned out to be a cell phone. As I'm grabbing my other things, the dogs start going crazy and run a few feet behind me, barking and growling viciously. I dropped my stuff and turned around to see a neighbor at the end of the driveway, probably 50 to 75 FT, just staring at me. I yell at the dogs to calm down to get back inside. They do. I give a friendly wave to Steve in my head. I'm thinking this is kind of weird, but he's probably been drinking, plus they said the guy is harmless, right? And I've dogged it before and never had a problem with any neighbors. He then takes a single step forward and says in this weird sounding voice, "You all right?" Steve is wearing dirty jeans, work boots, a dirty red hoodie and a red hat with a Confederate flag on it. He's also got dirty brown hair to his shoulders and a beard that's probably 5 in long. Yeah, I'm pretty good. "My name is Piep. I'm just dog sitting for Terry and Johnny this week, and ready to get in and call it an evening with the boys." I look down at the dogs to see their reaction. They look like they're about to attack, and I've never seen them act like this before. "How about yourself?" We sat in silence for almost 30 seconds before he stayed. "I'm asking if you're all right. I'm Steve. Nice to meet you, Steve. Thanks for being a good neighbor and checking. But like I said, I'm good. Are you all right?" Again, silence. Now this silence lasts for probably a whole minute, and I figure he's got to be wasted to just get inside with my. So I turn around and finish grabbing my stuff. And as I do, I hear him take one more. Step on the gravel driveway, dogs bark again. I turn around and Steve says, "I know them. Them dogs won't do nothing to me. They are some damn good dogs, that's for sure." I began feeling super uneasy, so I close my trunk and turn around to see if he's going. To say anything else, I was about to tell him that I was going inside, and then instead awkwardly say, "Yeah, and he cut me off." "Yeah, what?" he yelled. I'm shocked and say, "Yeah, I'm going inside now. Thanks again for checking." "Steve, I'm fine. I got the dogs." This week, have a good night, I turn and go, and the dogs follow me with no problem. Steve continues to stand right where I left him, for literally 10 minutes staring at the house. Now it's a note. This house does not have a front door. There is a side door. And a back door. The back door is the main door, because the front of the house has those big green fluffy privacy trees. So you can't even see his house through the front window. You can't see either doors from the street. You have to come onto the property to see them. It's now about 6 nows, and where I'm at, the sun starts going down around then, but doesn't actually get dark until around 9:15 during the summer. So anyway, the dogs and I are on the couch. I've got my gaming headphones on while playing Red Dead Redemption 2. All of a sudden, the dogs flip there out of nowhere, running towards the back door, barking and growling. So I'm like, what the? They don't do that unless someone pulls up in their car and they don't know who it is. I'm not having anyone over. I grab my knife, which is always close by, and start walking toward the back door. The dogs are still going crazy. I have no idea what they're looking at, but I don't see anything. But then I look closer. I see moped tail lights in the driveway, seemingly hiding behind my car. I then try and focus in and see that Steve is turned around and staring at the back of the house from his moped ducking behind my car. I get the dogs to be quiet. I hide to see what he's doing. Dogs are still growling, but at least they're not giving away my location. I stand there and watch him for 5 minutes. No movement, just a creepy stare in my general direction. I don't think that he can see me, but I'm not sure. He then shuts off his moped and crouches next to my car. Now I can see him peeking into my car windows. I don't see him actually try to get into it, but he walks around it a few times. He's not crouching anymore. Obviously he feels like no one is watching him, or even gives a that he's looking into my car, but he's only taking a single sing. The step stopping and looking in my car, then at the house. Then repeat single step at a time. It's creepy. As at this point, I text Terry and tell her that Steve is doing some weird stuff. I tell her I'm starting to feel very uncomfortable. I get a text back reading all the cops. If you feel unsafe, they know him, they can come talk to him. Remind me to tell you about the time he was standing out by the tree at 6 Ski. When I was leaving for work, when we get back, we think he had a psychotic break. Real comforting. So I talk myself down some. Again, this guy has to be just wasted. However, if he starts getting close to the door, I'm definitely calling the cops dumb. Idea looking back now, because the cops take so long to get out there. I'm still watching him as he's made his second round looking into my car. He then gets on his moped and drives off as he passes the window that faces the driveway. He speeds up, trying to make it so I wouldn't see him. If I were just watching TV, fast forward now, it's like 8:20p. The dogs start going crazy again. I look out and now his moped is parked in plain view. He's standing on the walkway just 30 ft from the house, staring and talking to himself. I had previously turned off all the lights so that he couldn't easily see in and see what I was doing. See him take a single step towards the door now, 29 ft away. I grab the gun, I've calmed the dogs down, and they are in full-on protective mode. One dog to my left and one to my right. It's now 8:15p. I called the cops. I explained the situation and that the dogs start going crazy again. I look out and now his moped is parked in plain view. He's standing on the walkway just 30 ft from the house, staring and talking to himself. I had previously turned off all the lights so that he couldn't easily see in and see what I was doing. See him take a single step towards the door. Now 29 ft away, I grab the gun. I've calmed the dogs down and they are in full-on protective mode. One dog to my left and one to my right. It's now 8:15p. I called the cops. I explained the situation and that lives in your county. That's why I'm calling you, operator. Then transfers me to another county when she answers the phone with the average 911. What's your emergency? I'm silent. I'm looking out the kitchen window. Steve has come up another 45 ft since the last time I looked out. 911, what's your emergency? I then explain what's happening. I explained that I was transferred because apparently I'm not in their jurisdiction, she tells me. To remain calm, turn on all the lights, and I said that this guy is waiting for me to do something like that. The doors are locked and I do have a firearm. If he enters, I will shoot. She then tells me that it's safest with the lights on. I turn on the lights. He notices, turns and gets on his moped and drives back to his house. I tell her what's happened. She asked if I would still like an officer to come out. Hell, yeah, I want an officer to come out. Apparently the cops in the South County know him, but she transferred me to you. This is the third time he's come onto the property. He's getting closer and closer to the door. I do not feel safe. Someone that is not me needs to talk to. This guy, calm down, ma'am. We will still send someone. However, based on where you're located, it will take a while for one to get out there. That's fine. I just want someone out here. Thank you. I asked her if she would stay on the line until he got here or no. She says that one's on its way out, but she needs to be available if anyone else calls in. She told me if he comes back, and I am still uneasy to call them without hesitation. Now it's getting around 900p. The sun is getting ready to completely set. Again, the dogs go crazy. Now I'm getting really pissed off. I'm walking around the house with a loaded gun, so that if Steve sees me, he sees that gun too. I look out the window and see his head, but I don't see him. Where is he? From the window in the kitchen, I can't see the back door. So I go upstairs. One dog follows the other, is too old to climb stairs, and I go peek down through the bathroom window. Steve's on the back porch lighting matches and throwing them down onto the wooden porch. He doesn't seem harmless anymore. He's talking to himself, twisting his head back and forth like he's getting warmed up to fight, or having a conversation with another one of his personalities or something. I start filming him from the upstairs window just in case I die, so that I could hide my phone. And when they find it, they know it had to be this guy. The sun is down and it's starting to get dark. He steps up to the door and starts knocking. He then starts pounding on the door. I'm pretty good at staying calm in situations, but my heart starts beating so fast that my Fitbit had to change my heart rate tab every 2 seconds. If he gets in here, I'm going to have to kill this guy, or he is going to kill me. I could see pure hatred in this guy's eyes. He then stops pounding at the door quickly, turns away and runs back to his moped, starts it and takes off faster than I thought a moped could even go. Not even a minute later, the cop pulls. In the driveway, I'd mentioned to the dispatch operator that I do have 2 dogs who will bark at the officer, but will not attack unless given a specific word. They are trained, and I do have a firearm. I'll leave the firearm inside when I go to meet the officer. I met the officer. The dogs didn't growl, simply gave a single bark apiece to let me know that someone was here. I went outside to meet him and told him that the guy just took off on a moped. He says, "Oh yeah, I think I just passed him." When I turned onto the road, I explained that he's absolutely drunk or crazy, and if he sees him on his way back, that he should definitely pull him over, because I'm quite positive he's definitely under the influence of something. Normal people just don't act that way. The cop basically shrugs everything off and says, "Well, are you going to stay the night here?" I told him no. I'll leave the dogs overnight and come back in the morning. I asked him to stay while I packed everything up, and he nodded. I go inside and give the dogs love and treats and crate them. For the night, I take off and return the next day with my father. My dad starts to walk the perimeter of the property, trying to show Steve that there is also a man staying here now. I'm a 24-year-old female, if you're wondering. Then Steve, wearing that same dirty outfit and hat, while holding a 24 case of Budweiser, is just standing at the end of the driveway again. I'm watching him from the front window. I see me dad at the other end of the yard as he comes into view. Steve turns around and walks back into his house. I later learned that Steve had been to jail multiple times due to domestic abuse. His kids are not allowed to see him due to his violent nature, and he bought a 4-wheeler. No one knows how he gets the money to get these things. Terry and Johnny have never seen him leave for work. They've only seen him leave on his moped or 4-wheeler, Then an hour or two later return with a case or two of beer. I don't know who he thought I was, but every time he looked at the house in my direction, there was just pure hatred in this guy's eyes. Who knows what would have happened if I didn't call the cops as early as I